Everybody's supposed to get on the back, slide. That whole little poster is supposed to be on the back of the truck. Yeah. And I said, before they get on, let me just do a little test drive.
It was the kind of headline that made you squint twice, refresh the screen, and then text 3 friends with the same dumbfounded message. Did Jason Statham really just do that? And yeah, he did. Jason Statham, the famously stoic, no-nonsense star of The Transporter, Crank, The Expendables, and more high-octane, testosterone-dripping action flicks than you can count on 2 hands, really named 5 actors he hates. Not dislikes, not has creative differences with, not would rather not work with again. Nope. He used the word hate. Before we start, smash the like and subscribe buttons for more updates. It wasn't even a drunken slip during some dimly lit pub chat either. This was in the middle of a carefully lit, internationally streamed interview during a European press junket for his then latest film, The Beekeeper. Flanked by glossy posters, wearing a dark tailored suit that practically glared at the camera on his behalf, Statham sat back, legs crossed, and with a steely glint in his eye, let the names fly, one by one, like he'd been waiting years for someone to ask. To grasp how seismic this was, you need to understand something about Jason Statham. The man has built an entire cinematic identity on silence, grit, and precision. He doesn't rant, he doesn't complain. He certainly doesn't spill tea like a real housewife on her 3rd glass of Pinot. His whole brand is the unshakable, stone-faced action star who doesn't say much but means everything when he does. So when Jason Statham starts naming names like it's a Hollywood version of a WWE call-out, the world listens. The interviewer hadn't even gone fishing for it. That's the wild part. It started innocently enough. A casual question about what kind of actor dynamics he preferred on set. I like people who show up, Statham said, leaning forward a bit. People who don't make it all about them. Professionals. You know what I mean? He didn't wait for the nod. He didn't need it. There's actors out there who I've worked with, or almost worked with, who I absolutely can't stand. Waste of space, some of them. Now, that was unexpected. The interviewer blinked, uncertain if this was a bit. But before they could change the subject, Statham doubled down. Hate's the word. Some of them. I don't care if that makes headlines, let it. And then he did what few actors in Hollywood ever dare to do in public. He gave names. 5 of them. The room, the internet, the entire fandom of bald men in leather jackets collectively stopped breathing for a moment. The first name out of his mouth? Vin Diesel. No surprise to hardcore action fans maybe, but still jarring to hear aloud. The 2 were co-stars in the Fast and Furious franchise, most notably Fast and Furious Presents, Hobbs and Shaw, where Statham's character, Deckard Shaw, shared the screen, often begrudgingly, with Diesel's Dominic Toretto. But anyone paying attention to the press tour for Hobbs and Shaw could sense the barely concealed friction. While The Rock and Statham had solid banter and even a cheeky chemistry, Diesel was often absent from group interviews, and when he did appear, things always felt off. Statham later clarified that he found Diesel impossible to work with, claiming the actor would arrive late, demand rewrites, and insist on scene changes that favored his character's alpha status. It was like working with a teenager trapped in a bodybuilder's body, Statham said, unblinking. The second name was even more unexpected, Shia LaBeouf. That one seemed to come out of left field. As far as the public knew, the 2 had never shared a set. But Statham elaborated, "We were in talks for a project a few years back. Studio was excited. I wasn't. Told them he wasn't right. He found out, sent me a message. Let's just say it wasn't exactly professional." While he didn't detail what the message said, those familiar with LaBeouf's off-screen volatility could imagine. LaBeouf's public spirals and aggressive method acting have rubbed more than a few in the industry the wrong way. But what stuck wasn't just the beef. It was the emotion Statham showed while talking about it. Some people want to be tortured geniuses. I just want to get the job done without someone throwing a tantrum in their trailer. Then came the third, Steven Seagal. Okay, that one got a few people chuckling. It was hardly news that Seagal's reputation in the action world had plummeted from mysterious martial arts icon to self-aggrandizing recluse with dubious lawman credentials. "I trained for years in martial arts. He turned it into a pantomime," Statham said sharply. "He's a joke, and he walks around like he's the second coming of Bruce Lee, except Bruce Lee actually did the work. This wasn't just a personal grudge. It felt more like a philosophical line in the sand." Statham has always been obsessive about authenticity. Even his early Guy Ritchie roles, Lock, Stock, Snatch, were built on a kind of grimy realism that Seagal's bloated theatrics never even attempted. The jab felt not just deserved, It felt like a long overdue industry correction. But the fourth name took things in a very different direction. Jared Leto. Now that caused a stir. Leto, the Oscar-winning actor known for his performances in Dallas Buyers Club and Requiem for a Dream, but also infamous for his over-the-top method antics on the set of Suicide Squad, seemed like an odd match to ever cross paths with Statham. Turns out they nearly worked together on a thriller that fell apart in pre-production. He came to the table like he was preparing for sainthood, Statham said dryly. Wouldn't break character. Wanted to be called by the name of his role. Wouldn't shake hands. Said it was out of character. It's like, mate, we're in a F*** in coffee meeting. Relax. He shook his head, almost laughing. I don't care how good you are on screen. If I've got to babysit someone's ego just to make a movie, I'm out. And then, with one final breath and a flick of the wrist like a man crossing the last item off a list, he dropped the last name. Mark Wahlberg. That one broke the internet. Here's the twist. Statham and Wahlberg had actually appeared together back in The Italian Job, 2003. They weren't exactly scene partners for most of it, but they shared the bill. It was one of those early 2000s slick ensemble pieces that people now revisit for nostalgia. And up until that point, nobody had suspected tension. But according to Statham, there'd been undercurrents even then. He's the kind of bloke who walks into a room and makes everything about him. Constantly cracking jokes, making crew wait while he does promo calls for his burger chain or something. But what seemed to irritate Statham most was Wahlberg's posturing. He plays up this Boston tough guy act like he's still in The Departed, but then you see him flying private to go speak at a business seminar for his supplements line. Spare me the working class routine. The ripple effects of Statham's candor were immediate. Even without aftermath coverage, which by request we're skipping here, the cultural earthquake was real. It wasn't just that he had criticisms, it was the tone, the clarity, the absolute surgical confidence. This wasn't gossip, it was a reckoning, and maybe, in a strange way, it was overdue. Hollywood has long survived on a kind of unspoken code of mutual praise. Publicly, everyone's a dream to work with. Every actor is so talented, so committed. Every director knew exactly what they wanted. Even when the seams are bursting behind the scenes, the narrative stays smooth. You rarely get real talk, especially from someone like Statham, whose own career was built on backroom deals, risk-taking filmmakers like Guy Ritchie, and raw genre cinema that valued physicality over polish. When he breaks the silence, you can bet it's not for drama, it's because something broke. And Statham's honesty cut through the artifice like a well-aimed roundhouse. There's something primal in watching a figure of near-mythic screen presence lower the veil and say what so many are thinking. Jared Leto's method antics have been the butt of memes for years. Steven Seagal's fall from action grace is practically a documentary genre of its own. Vin Diesel's control freak habits are the worst-kept secret in the Fast franchise. Shia LaBeouf's meltdowns have often overshadowed his undeniable talent. And Wahlberg, for all his charisma and business savvy, has left plenty of colleagues quietly fuming behind the scenes. But Statham didn't whisper. He named, boldly. And more importantly, he didn't apologize. There were no hedges, no, but he's a great actor caveats. Just blunt assessments from a man who built his entire cinematic reputation on brutal efficiency. It makes you wonder, too, how many other actors walk onto a set with silent loathing tucked under their collar? How many A-listers shake hands on a red carpet only to privately seethe through gritted teeth? Hollywood thrives on illusion, after all. But maybe what we crave now, more than ever, is authenticity. Jason Statham, in one explosive moment of verbal carnage, gave us just that. Not a rant, not a meltdown. Just cold surgical truth, the kind that makes publicists shiver and fans cheer. 5 names, 1 man, no regrets. If you liked this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, leave your comments below and tell us, what are your thoughts on Jason Statham naming 5 actors he hates? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching and see you next time.